away, Evan.
All right, so welcome everyone. It's a privilege to teach here. I am going to teach on the importance of meekness. Have you ever received instruction and thought, I already knew this? Why are they telling me this? Do they think I don't know? Or maybe you have received some constructive criticism and thought, well, I don't know why they are telling me this when they don't even understand the situation. It is not uncommon to have thoughts like these or similar. It is human nature. However, when we are tempted to think like this, we can remember that we as believers have the spiritual nature of Christ in us, which is superior to human nature. We can choose to redirect our thinking, renewing our minds to receive instruction from the word with meekness. So what is meekness? Meekness is the quality of being tender, receptive, and free from haughty, arrogant, and self-sufficiency. A meek person is not preoccupied with self or with private interest. A meek person is willing to receive instruction from God, the written word, and from all who speak it, and then change for the better. Meekness is a quality that God encourages us to have in our lives. So with that, we're going to go to the book of James, chapter 1. And we are going to go to verse 21. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word which is able to save your souls. God exhorts us to be meek so that when he gives us instruction, we will listen to it, receive it, and act upon it accordingly. The world sometimes paints a negative view on what it means to be meek. Some say that meekness is a sign of weakness. I know I do. Or that being meek means you are a pushover. But that is not what God's word says at all. As we saw in James 1:21, meekness allows us to receive the word, which is able to save our soul. It makes our souls whole, sound, and that makes us stronger. When we decide to act upon instruction from God, we can actually change for the better. To help us learn to be meek, the Bible gives us insight into people who were meek. Moses is an excellent example of being meek. During Moses' time, God considered him to be the meekest man on the earth. What a title! Moses was tasked with leading the children of Israel out of bondage towards the promised land. Moses had to be meek in order to listen to God and successfully lead God's people. Numbers 12:3 says, Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. Moses came from a wealthy background and could have lived an affluent lifestyle, being known as the son of the daughter of Pharaoh. But by his decision to listen to God, Moses' life changed for the better because he obeyed and was able to bring deliverances to God's people. Moses also showed great meekness to receive instruction from God when God showed him the burning bush and challenged him with decision to learn more about it or disregard it entirely. Now we're going to go to the book of Exodus, chapter 3. And we are going to start at verse 3. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see that this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. Moses had to be meek to make the decision to turn and see the bush acknowledge it. His response of "Here am I" is a sign of meekness to listen to what God wanted him to say and then act on it. Just like Moses, the great prophet and lawgiver, we can turn to God and choose to receive his instruction with meekness and act on it. We can practice receiving instruction with meekness in all aspects in our lives. Then, when it is time to listen, receive, and act on instruction from God, we will be ready to say, "Here am I." And that is a wonderful phrase to say. That means you are ready to take on the task that God gives you, in my opinion. So that's what I have to share. We have to be meek in order to receive God's instruction, and we have to be meek if we want to gain the respect of other people as well. And that's what I have to say.
Great. Was that it, Evans?
Yes.
That's wonderful.